2,000 years ago, nestled between dense, unforgiving jungles and towering mountains, sat the ancient kingdom of Vishkar. Deep beneath that kingdom lay a closely guarded secret, the Nagamani. Local legend described it as a subterranean gemstone capable of granting absolute, boundless power to anyone bold enough to claim it. A young warrior named Aryan set out to test that rumor. His journey began the night he unearthed a weathered copper plate, holding a simple promise. On the night of the full moon, the gem would finally awaken. To understand the mechanics of the trap, we can break the curse into 3 phases: the lure, the guardian, and the contagion. The first phase, the lure, creates a vacuum. It requires an outside force, a person, to activate the cycle. The copper plate Aryan found wasn't a lucky discovery. It was bait. It functioned as a psychological hook, designed to find someone with the exact mix of ambition and greed necessary to walk into the jungle. Following that lead, Aryan hiked for hours into the deepest, darkest pockets of the forest, eventually arriving at the crumbling remains of a forgotten temple. Inside the ruins, the atmosphere shifted. The walls were covered in unsettling symbols, and strange whispers echoed through the halls, creating the distinct sensation that the air itself was trying to push him out. At the center of the temple, Aryan reached a heavy stone door. As he moved to open it, a supernatural voice boomed through the chamber, giving him one final command to turn back. This is the second phase, the guardian. These defenses function as a filter. They provide every possible reason for a person to stop, relying on the intruder's own choice to ignore the warnings and proceed. These warnings are actually most effective against the very people the curse wants. The more someone desires the stone, the more likely they are to view these red flags as mere obstacles to be overcome. By shoving that stone door open and ignoring the voice, Aryan transitioned from a trespasser to a permanent part of the system. Behind the door, a long tunnel opened into a massive chamber. The room glowed with a sickly green light, centered on the Nagamani as it rested on a golden throne. Driven by the sight of the prize, Aryan reached out and finally touched the gemstone. The earth immediately buckled. As the temple began to shake, thousands of snakes began pouring out from the cracks in the walls. Then, the physical manifestation of the curse appeared. A giant serpent king, the Nagaraj, rose from the shadows behind the throne to pronounce that the theft now carried a price that could never be unpaid. Aryan scrambled back through the collapsing tunnel, barely making it out as the stone ceiling crashed down behind him. He reached the surface and collapsed onto the jungle floor, gasping for air. He had escaped the cave, but the trap had already closed. The mechanism of the curse doesn't rely on being trapped in a room. It attaches itself to the victim through the very act of possession. Safe in the jungle, Aryan looked down at his prize. But as he held the stone, a black serpent mark began to spread across his skin, branding his hand. Those red eyes from the cave appeared again in the shadows of the trees. A voice drifted through the wind, telling him that from this moment on, he would never be alone. By the next morning, Aryan was gone. In the clearing where he had rested, the Nagamani sat waiting on the ground, and next to it lay a brand new copper plate, its inscriptions still fresh. This is the final phase, the contagion. The system consumes the victim to generate bait for the next. The warrior's experience becomes a new lure. The plate's message completes the loop, ensuring the story continues when the next person feels the same pull. What Aryan found wasn't a treasure, but a self-perpetuating engine. It is a cycle that feeds on human desire, ensuring that as long as there is greed, the serpent stone will always have a master.